Hello, my friends, and welcome to another week of art. Let me share my screen here. Okay, I got it back up here. Already showing you a preview of what we're going to be doing. Okay, this is week of March 2nd through 11th. And can you believe it's March? And this is a lesson for kindergarten through first and second through fifth. Now, my face-to-face learners who are in class third through fifth are continuing to work on their last two lessons. So, virtual learners, if you hop on during a live session with face-to-face, you will continue working on this project, okay? Because if you've already finished the last two projects, don't worry about that. You need to go to this one. And it'll make more sense as we go on. Let's see. Our I can statements. Kindergarten through first grade, you're going to create a drawing of a landscape with truffula trees using line, color, shape, and space. And second through fifth grade, you're going to create a drawing of the Lorax with truffula trees using line, color, shape, and space. Okay, what will we do today? We're going to review how we use line, color, and shape. We're going to focus on organic shapes and space in art. There's going to be a reading of the book, The Lorax by Dr. Seuss, and a demonstration of how to draw truffula trees and the Lorax. And then you're going to create art and turn it in to me. Okay, quick review. Elements of art, we've been talking about that. Line is a path that starts with a point and continues, and there's all different kinds of line. Shape, shape is the outline of an object, and it's also an element of art. And we've been focusing more on geometric shapes like square, triangle, circle, but this time we are going to be looking more at organic shapes, which is like a leaf or a cloud or fruit. Organic shapes like these, like the trees we see. Organic shapes can be found in nature. Now, space, we're not talking about outer space with the planets and the sun and the stars. We're talking space in general is an element of art, and it's important in showing distance, how far away things are from you or your perspective. If I'm standing or sitting, where everything is going to be in view. And these are two different images that I'm showing you, and things closer to you will sometimes appear larger than the objects in the distance. So, say for instance, you see trees. The one to the left here, this image to the left, this tree looks mighty large, but it might be the same size as the one to the right. But that tree might be closer to us. So that's an example. Okay, we are going to listen to, I'm going to read you a story, The Lorax. If you have already heard this story, you can move forward to the actual demos of how to draw the truffula tree. But please stay with me and I will read it and I'll try to make it quick. It's rather a long story, but it's a good one. Find it here. Okay. Here we go. The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. And this is one of my favorites. At the far end of town where the crickle grass grows and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grown, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in the Lurkin on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkin, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of myth-murfled moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeps out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you are willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail and the shell of a great, great, great grandfather snail. Then he pulls at the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, his great strange hole in his grubless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop! Down slops the wisp-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snarkly hose, and he sounds as if he has smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the Swanee swans ran out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop, and with great skillful skill, with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a sneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked, I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him, that's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, what safe thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I've been quite useful. This thing is a need. A thing, a need is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat, but it has other uses yet. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers, for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool sneed. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the sneed I had knitted was Great. He happily bought it for 3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. And we don't say stupid. You never tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Hush, if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Niche. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting needs, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow, so I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making needs 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please, but I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who play in the shade of their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas, and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger. So bigger I got. I biggered my factory. I biggered my rows. I biggered my wagons. I biggered the loads of the needs I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again, he came back. I was fixing some pipes when the old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed, he sneezed and snuffled, and he snarled, he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a cruffless croak, Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog you smogged up around here. What? What's more? Snapped the Lorax. His dander was up. Let me say a few words about Gluppity Glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making chuppity glup and also sloppity slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. Their walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax. Now, listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm biggering on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the one last truffula, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under smoke smugger stars. Now all that was left beneath that bad smelling sky was my big empty factory and Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad and backward glance. And he lifted himself at the seat of his pants. I'll never forget the grim look on his face where he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in the mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away through the years while my buildings have fallen apart. I've worried about it with all my heart. But now, said the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. Told you it was a good story. Okay, now that we know what the truffula trees are, let's take a look at how to draw them. And I might actually rush through some of these steps because once you know how to draw one, you should be able to draw them all. Let me get this playing. Okay, I am going to speed this up a little bit. Okay, now we have already talked about how when you are looking at an object and it appears to be much larger. Okay, but it might be the same size. Okay, so here we are drawing a landscape, and the one that is going to be closest to us is the one we're going to draw first. So this is a hill, and we are going to draw a truffula tree, which we're going to start with a very curvy line because they are tall. And we're going to do a second line on the other side. And then the top shape is rather kind of fluffy, and it's not a geometric shape. It's not a circle. It almost looks like it's got fur on it. It looks like hair or fur. So that's our first one. And then we're going to draw yet another hill that's right behind that tree. And it's going to look a little bit smaller. But it's basically got some of the same traits. It's a thin tree trunk, and at the top, because it almost looks like when they are blowing in the wind, almost like hair is going everywhere, right? And then we're going to do one more line for a smaller tree. Now, if I want to, I could do even more trees than this, but this is demonstrating uh, a large tree, or it appears to be a large tree, and then a little bit smaller, and then even smaller in the distance, just because we can't see all the detail from something in the distance, but it has stripes almost like an animal, right? Like a zebra, maybe. And then he's going to fill in with bright colors and even the hills. There you go. That is trouble of trees. Pretty simple. Now, my kindergarten through first graders could do this. You can do a bunch of trees. You could even add the Lorax if you want to, but you don't have to. We're more interested, kindergarten through first grade, into drawing the triplet trees. Now for the Lorax. Let me get this up. And I am actually going to get this a little bit larger. And you can find this on YouTube too, how to draw the Lorax. We are going to start in pencil with a little curve. And this is actually going to be, I believe, the nose. And there's his nostril. And eyes. We're going to do 2 lines, one on either side. So this is like a half circle for the eyes. And I'm speeding it up a tiny bit. And then another half on the inside. So his eyes are open. Okay, now the mustache, which is more of an organic shape. And he has a big, full mustache. So it's a curve that goes on one side that droops down. And then you're going to have one on the other side. And then that center line is where his mustache is divided. And right now he's looking kind of like a cat to me. And you can do zigzag lines. And you notice on the left, you can have fun with it and make the mustache kind of like not balanced. So one side can be a little bit bigger than the other, because he does live out in the forest, right? That's the side of his head. And we're going to add eyebrows. And he's got big, bushy eyebrows. I'm speeding it up just a tiny bit. And again, those jagged zigzag lines, that's going to add to the eyebrow shape. And you can do that on both sides. And he's already starting to look like the Lorax. And the line in between, or the top of his head. Now his body. Follow the line as if it goes through the mustache. And this is part of the side of his body. And he's kind of roundish. He's not very long. He's kind of got a round body, like an animal. This is his elbow, which is like an L shape. So he's got that tucked behind him because he's upset about the truffula trees. And this is going to be his arm that's out. And you could just have both of his arms on his hips if you want to. This one is going to have more of his hand. And it does not have to be perfect. That his hand is kind of in front of him. And remember, this is more for second through fifth grade to try. If my younger kids want to try it, you can. The Lorax is a little tough to draw in some places, but he's kind of fun to draw because that big bushy mustache and those big bushy eyebrows. Now his legs are coming down. And you've got almost like a U shape down here. And then his feet, which he might have very pointed feet. That's totally up to you. Does not have to look exactly like the book. That's his toe, pointed little toe. And he almost looks like maybe he's tapping his toes. So he's got small feet. Now we go a little bit further and you start adding color. And you can see yellow and orange and some reds in there, maybe some browns. And there you go. You have it. Now I'm going to pause it here. So this is more or less what we're going to be doing this time. Kindergarten through first graders, you're going to complete a drawing of the truffula trees, and second through fifth graders, you're going to complete a drawing of the Lorax and maybe try out adding some truffula trees if you choose to do so. Online learners must take a picture and post to Seesaw or Google Classroom or ClassDojo, or email it to me at eturner@ecps.us. And here's my number if you need to call me. Otherwise, that is it for now, and that's a lot, right? I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope that you enjoyed the artwork that you're going to create as well, but I can't wait to see it. Have a great week. Love you, miss you. Can't wait to see your artwork, and can't wait to see you again. Bye for now.